I'd like to call to order the Monday, January 5th public hearing for the City of Tampa's Architectural Review Commission. Welcome, everyone. I'm Dan Myers, the Vice Chair of the Commission. If you are here to present a project, you will have limited time to make your presentation, so we suggest being thorough but concise. When coming to the microphone, you will need to identify yourself and your relationship to the project. The commissioners will not ask any questions during your presentation. Your project should be presented in the following order: site plan, elevations, architectural details, and wall sections. Staff will then present a staff report. We will then ask for public comment. Please state and spell your name clearly if you are here to speak for or against a project. Your time will be limited to 3 minutes, so take some time now to summarize your comments, because 3 minutes goes by very quickly. Following public comment, the commissioners will ask questions in the same order as the presentation. Next, the applicant will have 5 minutes for rebuttal. The public hearing will then be closed. After the public hearing is closed, no further testimony can be given. The commissioners will then discuss the case and will make their decision based on Chapter 27 of the City Code of Ordinances, the Design Guidelines, the Secretary of Interior Standards, Historic Preservation Development Review Committee comments, and the testimony given at the public hearing. The ARC can only act on items that are within our specific jurisdictional responsibility. Owner agents are independently responsible to obtain any appropriate permits and/or approvals. If you haven't already done so, please silence cell phones. Thank you. Introduction of other commissioners. Starting on my left.
Tim Jones, contractor.
Will Babcock, alternate.
Elena Ketchum, attorney rep.
John Perkup, I practice architecture.
Carol Post, public policy representative.
And with us tonight, we have staff members Dennis Fernandez, Elaine Lund, and Jared Varnum, and our attorney, Dana Crosby Collier. And now, shall we go on to, I need to go on to the other side of the, no? What? Okay.
I move to accept the minutes from the December 1st and the December 3rd, 2025 meetings.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right. Announcements, Mr. Fernandez.
Good evening, Commissioners. Dennis Fernandez, Architecture Review and Historic Preservation Manager. Welcome to this evening's public hearing, the first of 2026, and we wish a happy new year to you all. Did want to announce briefly that we are not going to have a meeting on January the 7th, 2026, because we are handling all of our psycho applications at this evening's hearing. Also in your packets, or prior to that, I want to enter the ARC staff approvals into the record. We can accept those by motion at the end of the meeting. And in your packets, you do have this month's Tampa Bricks and Mortar newsletter. It does feature restoration of a Mission Revival style structure in the Ybor City Historic District. We are featuring Ybor City as our preservation and progress location for this particular quarter, because it is the area's 140th anniversary of being established. So we definitely are celebrating that along with many others in the Ybor community. With that, we did feature this property at 2101 North 22nd Street in our monthly preservation in progress, and Elaine is going to present that for you now.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. If we can move to the presentation, we are, as Dennis stated, going to be discussing the building located at 2101 North 22nd Street in the Ybor City Historic District. This is a former service station which recently underwent an adaptive reuse rehabilitation project to accommodate a law office. The photo in the image here is from 1947. So this is a circa 1938 building, and it sits at the northeast corner of 22nd Street and 10th Avenue. The red arrow on the left points to where the building is located within the Ybor City Historic District. The design of the building is typical of the Sinclair service stations throughout the country that were built during this particular era. It is, as Dennis stated, in the Mission Revival style. It features the stucco exterior, some decorative tile work, and the excuse me, the tile roof work. The first Sanborn Company map on which this building appears is from 1951. Unfortunately, they weren't in color in 1951, but you can see here how the footprint of the building on the 1951 Sanborn Company map and how it's still apparent in the footprint of the structure on the present day aerial on the left side of the screen. So in 1938, Frank Cannella acquired the land and built the service station using the firm of Sedekasi and Jalura as the contractors. This 1947 photo shows the various stores and uses that occupied the building nearly a decade later, including the Sinclair gas station, the National Bar and Package store, and the Auto and Home Supplies hardware and paint store, which was run by Frank Cannella, the property owner. The recent adaptive reuse project converted the building for use as a law office for Bennett, Jacobs, and Adams. This project included reopening the storefront windows and preserving the stylistically characteristic stucco decorative tile work and the clay tile on the roof. And it's a simple project, but a very nice one to bring back this historic appearance of this particular building in Ybor City. So it's, again, featured in this month's Bricks and Mortar newsletter, and that concludes this month's Preservation in Progress. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. With that, we are now ready to move on to our disclosure of conflicts of interest and ex parte communication, and our legal counsel will lead that discussion.
Good evening, Dana Crosby Collier from the Legal Department. I would like to ask if any commissioner has a conflict of interest with any item on the agenda this evening.
I do not.
I do not.
Thank you. Has any member engaged in an ex parte communication regarding any item on the agenda this evening?
I've not.
Thank you.
Moving on, we do have one continuation to act upon. That is ARC-26-000058. The request is to continue the case till the February 2nd, 2026 public hearing at 5:30 p.m. We will need a motion for that.
So moved.
All in, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. With that, we are now ready for the swear-in. Alan?
Yes.
And staff.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony being provided today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. And with that, we're ready for our case, and Elaine will introduce the case.
Thank you. Again, Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation staff. The request before you tonight at 5708 North Central Avenue is for case ARC-26-0000063 for the property on North Central Avenue in the Seminole Heights Historic District. The request is for new construction of a two-story accessory structure in addition to the primary structure and site improvements. Moving to the photo presentation, if we may, thank you. The Seminole Heights Historic District map here shows where the property is located near the, in the north half of the Seminole Heights Historic District. It's located on Central Avenue, I believe between, let's see, Henry and Powhatan Avenues. There we go. The existing structure was built in circa 1926. And you can see its footprint here on the 1920s era Sanborn map at 5708 North Central Avenue. The building is shown in yellow, indicating that it's a wood frame structure. It's a little smaller back then than it is today, but you can see that there was this simple rectangular form structure with a open porch on the west side, on the rear, and on the south side, which is one of the sides where the proposed work will be, that the applicant will be presenting today. This is the present day aerial, again showing the property on the west side of Central Avenue, between Henry and Powhatan Avenues, Henry to the north, Powhatan to the south. You can see the National Historic District boundary in blue and the local historic district boundary there in red, just adjacent to the I-275 corridor. To the north is the Seminole Heights Garden Center, if that assists in locating the property. This is the east or the front elevation of the existing building. This is the showing the east, again the front and the north side of the existing structure. And this view is looking at the east and a bit of the south elevation. So behind the vegetation there is the area of proposed work on the addition to the primary structure. Moving sort of into the site, we're looking at the south elevation, alongside the south elevation. This is beyond where that little screened-in porch bump out is, and you're looking here at the where the door is. That would be about where the original structure ends, and everything beyond that is an addition onto this house. You can also see the east elevation of the existing accessory structure, which is a non-historic building. I believe the accessory structure was added to the site not all that long ago. I had a 2020 ARC approval date. Here we are looking at the, looking back at the south and the, a portion of the existing, I'm sorry, okay. So you can see the west side of the original structure and the south side of all the addition that's been built on the house. There are two additions to this property. The first one being that first section stretching from the house, the original house, to where the little inset area is for the utilities, and then the second addition to the property beyond that on the left side of the screen. And then this is all the addition just wrapping around to the back, to the west elevation a little bit, and that's what the west elevation looks like on the very rear of the structure. And then this is the north side of the existing accessory structure as it stands today. This is the property directly to the north. Looking to the south, we see this contributing structure. And then across the street to the east, we have a pretty typical Seminole Heights bungalow. This is the view looking north along Central Avenue. So the property in question would be to your left, and we're looking across Henry Avenue there. And then looking south on Central Avenue, so the property in question would be to your right. There's also an alley that runs behind this structure. Here we're looking north in the alley, so the subject site would be to your right. And then looking south in the alley, the subject property is to your left. So that concludes the photo presentation, and at this time, I'll ask the applicant to present the request. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Alan Dobbs, 5912 North Tampa Street. I have been sworn. I am the agent on this property for the owners that purchased this property about a year or two ago. Young family, have two young daughters. The house, as you saw in the photographs, does not have a driveway in the front. There's actually quite a few houses along Central Avenue and Summer Heights that don't have driveways, so it's accessed from the alley. And as you saw in the photos that Elaine showed, that there's no covered parking. They have a nice accessory structure that was built around 2021, but it has like a shed and then like kind of like an open carport area. So my clients wanted to do remove that structure and build a two-story accessory structure, and to keep it in the similar location as the existing structure, the vehicular entrance had to be to the north, sort of like a side entry garage, and there is precedent for that in the neighborhood. I had a project back in 2018 or 19 right next door to the south, which I'll show you. We had the exact same situation with it. So anyway, so I just wanted to kind of point out a few things on the site. As I said, there's no driveway. This is the original structure here, and then this was the addition that was done around 2018 or 19. I'm showing the pool because that is in for permitting right now, and I think they may have gotten their building permit already, so I wanted to show that for context. There's a walkway here with concrete stepping areas filled with stone. I have some pictures of that, but I think there's some pictures of that in Elaine's photos. So you can see the new accessory structure is here. The vehicular access will be off the alley. The gate and the fence will all remain, but just be rebuilt as necessary. This is the existing concrete pad right now, but we'll modify it in the area around the building. Some of the things that this board always questions is, like, where's the air conditioning unit? It's actually underneath the steps right here within a screen. You'll see it in the floor plan and elevations. And one of the things with the location of the building, the project that I did previously was 3 feet from the property line, and we were allowed to do that through design exception. That's no longer an option now because it has to be a variance. And this property, we would love to have it at 3 feet or 4 feet to meet the historic patterns, but we don't rise to the level of a variance because we can make it work, but it's unfortunate that we don't meet the historic patterns. So anyway, so we've met all the requirements for zoning. And also I talked with John Marsh with Transportation today, and he just wanted to double check if he had to be here tonight, and he's fine with the egress and ingress of vehiculars. His last comment was to add a little apron right here with 3-foot flares. So we did that. So I want to show a detail that shows the areas of work. Obviously, this heavy dashed line is the new structure outline, and then this dashed or ghosted line is the existing structure that's now, and that's the part of the existing concrete pad that will remain. This shows that existing walkway, which will remove part of it but rebuild it so it continues, and you'll see in the floor plan that's where the entrance to the garage is. And then the other part is here. This is right now a small porch. It's kind of a very insignificant thing. Elaine wanted more pictures of that, and I have some pictures to show the board. It's a fairly nondescript sort of feature to the house. So and plus they need more living space. So what we're doing is we're adding this here, and as you can see, we're stepping in from the corners, and we're basically along the same setback line here, which is 7 feet from the side yard property line. So in a little more detail, you can see how this space is developed, and you'll see in the elevations, the fenestration pattern, which is sort of derived from the layout of the floor plan, with this being a small den TV viewing area, and then a little mudroom here off the back of the house. So this is where the current door is right now, and it's going to be relocated to this side. And then all this area in the interior will remain. This is existing wood deck, existing at grade pavers, and then this is the pool, which is currently in for permitting. And then moving over to the west there, you can see that you have this fairly direct walk to go into the garage, but also the stairs we have to accommodate getting up to the second floor. So those come here, turn, and go up. We bumped out here a little bit, so on the second floor you have a entry porch, but also we wanted to squeeze in a little pool bath. So that's what this area is right here. And then we have a series of small windows on the south side, no windows on the ground floor on the alley side, and then a double wide garage door. This is the new concrete apron, which will be sloped to meet the existing concrete parking pad. On the second floor, you can see the stairs turn and come up to a porch here, and then we just have open space with the bathroom here, and you'll see the window patterns in the elevations. Before I get to the elevations, I wanted to show some details, so you can keep an eye out for those when I go through the elevations. But I want to maybe back up a little bit for site context. This is the existing building, and you can see it's 3 feet from this property line, and then 3 feet from the alley. That fence is going to remain and be rebuilt if needed. A little further down the alley, this is our property here. This is the structure I did back in 2018 and 19. As you can see, it's very close to the alley and the side property line, which is the precedent for accessory structures in the neighborhood. A little closer view, this one has the side entry gate, and then our gate will begin the photos when I get into the material palette. The portion of the house that we're going to remove, you can see there's some very awkward waterproofing details, construction details. So that original bracket is deteriorated. It's a very awkward juxtaposition between the roof of the side porch and the existing roof of the main house. This is sort of the front corner. Looking at it from the back, it just has this little half wall. It's screened in, and then you have a screen door there. Note the jerkin head roof form and the gable vents. I'll talk about those more in other photos. This is a more closer up picture. I don't know why it's just, there's some reflection on there. Sorry about that. And then on the front, it's really hard because all the vegetation to get a good picture of the front. But it has this band board or water table at the bottom, and has like 5 courses of siding and this a low wall, and then just 2x4s with screen between them. And I have a few more pictures of that. As you can see, it's very hard to see from the street. There's another little corner. And then some of the exterior details on the house. The walkway that I was talking about, this is standing where the current accessory structure is, so you can see that walkway, which we're going to keep. And then I don't know why it's not focusing on this. I can zoom in and out, but I'm not sure why it's not focused. Never had that happen before. But anyways, it has this craftsman style door that we're going to be relocating. Do you know why it would be? Is there an auto zoom? Much better. I have my glasses on, so I didn't think it was that. Okay. So, yeah, again, you see the roof detail here, the existing craftsman style door, the windows with the divided lights on the top. Elaine already showed pictures of the existing house with the addition that was done back in 2020. You can see it has a continuous stem wall of brick, but it does have a small vent opening. So this is an addition, so we're going to be matching that with the foundation closure for the new addition. These are Craftsman style panel doors. It's two single doors that were put together. So we're actually going to use that same door, same dark bronze hardware. It's kind of gooseneck type light. We're going to use that type of light over the garage doors. We'll do two of them, which you'll see in the elevation, so that with the double wide door, you want it to kind of, the scale of it to be broken down so it looks more like two doors side by side. This shows the lap siding with the 4x4 corner board. Another detail of the windows. Most of them are 4 or 5/1 depending on the width. And then this one of the things that they did that is one of my pet peeves is on the gable end. They did this ladder framing. That was never done. You always had a barge rafter or fly rafter that was supported by brackets. So we are not doing that detail. Again, there's a better picture of it right here. Again, a closer up picture of the gable vent. When they did the addition, they pretty much matched the existing house gable vent, so we're going to be matching that as well with the gable vent on the garage. It'll be a false vent because we're doing spray foam insulation. This shows a closer up detail of the bracket. It's a 4x6 bracket or knee brace, and then you have 2x4, 2x6 rafter tails with the 2x8 barge rafter, which is typical on gable ends. That is one size larger typically. One of the last little things with the details, these are two other projects I've done in the neighborhood. When I printed them, they were diagonally instead of up and down or side by side. But these have the same configuration of the stairs where you go up a half level and then up. And then here's another view of it here, where it goes up and then up, which is just a kind of working with the site. This is on the corner of Frierson and Swanee, where it goes up and over. These posts are 6x6. They're a little heavy. We're doing something a little bit smaller. This project, they didn't do them. They just took the handrail right over. And then with this one, you see the little side detail. This is open, but on ours, we're going to take horizontal boards and close that in. So it will be open, but it will be screened or sort of enclosed. And again, you can see that gooseneck type light, which is fairly common in the neighborhood. Okay, so the elevations. So on the front elevation, this is existing, so this is going to be removed, and then it's going to be replaced with, in addition with a fairly low slope roof, 2.5 and 12, because we want to get underneath the gable vent, which you'll see in the other elevation, but we're keeping this water table band to sort of pick up on what used to be right here. And then we have the siding above and below that band, and then we have a water table along the bottom. And then we have the wood deck, existing wood deck here across the foreground there. On the side, this is the south side. You can see how it's a lower slope roof than the existing because we want to get where this meets the existing wall. We want to keep that vent. They don't have any access from the ceiling inside their house, so that's how they get to their attic there. And also, I think it helps with the Secretary of Interior standards when you're differentiating new from existing. We're stepping in from the sides, and also we're stepping down. We have brick piers. The brick will be done to match the existing brick. These foundation vents will again match this one over here, which you saw a photograph of. The windows, the new windows will not have any divided lights because we want them to be a little bit different, a little more simple, because this is a secondary feature on the house. So they're all over one. They're not centered on this elevation, but they are centered within the rooms, which is common in old houses because, as I said, they're centered within the interior spaces. If this was facing the front, that would be a different issue. And then over here, you see how the accessory structure relates to the existing structure. Obviously, it's a two-story structure. It's going to be taller than the one-story existing structure, but we kept the height to a minimum, so we have 8 feet. Ceiling height on the first floor and second floor with 14 inches, which typically spans 20 feet with System 42 floor trusses. We're picking up on the gable, jerkin head gable roof with the vent, which, yes, it does match existing, but it also matches the addition that we did here, and we felt that was an important detail to keep consistent. And then the windows and the trim around the windows, we're going to match again. This was part of the addition, so we're going to be matching the window trim. And this whole house, by the way, I thought I had the original windows, but when I went back today to get some good detailed pictures of the windows, they were actually all replaced with, looks like Geldwin wood windows. So that's what we're proposing for this edition, and then also for this. And some other things with this, you see how the porch is kind of developed with the railing. I have some railing details, and then this is where the small pool bath is here, and you see the stair in the background here. Okay, on the front, my client wanted a lot of windows on the east side, so that's why we went with the smaller window, but had 3 windows, so it's basically a wall of windows there. But again, the same detail with the siding, the band or water table here, and then the brick pier with the lattice infill. On the north side, this is ghosted because it's set back from this elevation. We meet the eave-to-eave separation required between accessory structure and primary structure. This is the new structure, and then the stairs right here, and obviously there's nothing there currently. Well, the existing building, which is going to be removed. Okay, this last page it's the 4 elevations of the accessory structure. So this is the north elevation, so it has the double wide garage door, and I just realized I left the lights out, which would be right here. Again, I have some photographs of that light in relationship to the door. 1/1 windows, the gable vent, just like the north side, and then the porch, which is stepped back. This shows it's all wood railing with the wood balusters, and then this is we have wood treads, which are 1 inch thick, and then they have a painted wood riser, and that just runs along the side, so that's closed, and then we can have a door here for accessing storage underneath the stair. And one of the things to note on the porch is we did a simple gable here because it was proportionally, it was too small to do a jerkin head or a clip gable, so we did a very simple gable, which we felt was appropriate. And again, these are the Craftsman style doors, which I showed earlier, and it shows how the stair kind of goes up to the landing and then on up to the entry porch right here. And these are, I think they're 6 by 6 or 5 inch by 5 inch, 6 by 6 wood columns. And then we have the porch floor structure here. We have the bracket or knee braces here. We have the barge rafter, and then we have dimensional asphalt shingles. And then the siding will be smooth lap sidings with the similar exposure to the existing. And when I say existing, I mean the addition here, which I think is the same as the original house. So I already showed that elevation. That shows the 2 small windows in the garage. And then looking at the alley elevation, as I mentioned, we don't have any windows on the ground floor for security purposes, and it's pretty common, and I think this board has accepted no windows on the alley side of these accessory structures, but then having 2 windows up high, and then again, you see the knee braces, the dimensional shingles, the bracket, the corner boards, all similar to the existing, and then since this will be a slab on grade, we're just gonna do stucco on the concrete to give it a nice finished look. And then the details. So I guess I'll zoom in a little bit and I'll start with this one. Typical wall section accessory structure, as I said, slab on grade with the thickened edge for footing, 2x4 frame walls, system 42 floor trusses, 2x4 frame walls on the second floor. The window detail, standard window head height is 6'8", 8-foot ceiling height on first and second floor. We have 2x6 rafter tails. Note that the finished wood soffit extends past the end of the plumb cut rafter tail, so you don't have water dripping down. That's a very important detail to get right. And then dimensional asphalt shingles for the roof. For the section through the addition of the primary structure, it's going to be a suspended wood floor structure. We're going to do two 2x12s, which will be that band that runs around the base. We'll have a water table trim detail to transition between that band and the siding. And then it'll be 2x4 frame wall, window detail to match existing, again 6'8". We have a little bit lower ceiling here because we were trying to, again, get underneath the existing gable. So 7 foot is minimum for code, but we're at 7'6", so we kind of balanced having it as low as we can, but not 7 feet would just be too low, and we wanted a little more separation between the window head and the ceiling. So that's the section through the addition to the primary structure. The typical gable section, you know, we have these hip rafters, and then we have the 2x8 barge rafter, and we have the 4x6 bracket with the knee brace, and again, that's all going to match the existing on the addition. And then the vent that's not really shown here is going to be a false vent. So the way we've done that, we do smooth, hardy panel, paint it black, and then put white boards on it so it looks like a vent. But this is a far superior way to insulate a building. The stair detail, this shows the stair railing, the enclosure here, and also the typical guardrail. So you see the different elements. So we have a 1x11 tread going up, painted wood risers which turn and run down the side, 2x12 wood stringer which you don't really see. Then we have the 5x5 newel posts, which you get by just doing a 4x4, clad it with 3/4 inch material, and then you do a little decorative cap with like a 1-inch square cap with a 3/4 inch quarter round underneath, so it adds a little detail to the top of it. And then you have the 2x4 flat, but with the slope top, with the 1x3 below to receive the 2x2 pickets, and then we have a 2x4 vertical 3.5 inches that these balusters or pickets come down and sit on. And then the handrail or the guardrail is the same thing, but this is a 2x6 that has a relief cut at the bottom of 2 inches. So it's just a kind of a nice stair detail. The window detail, all the windows on the inside and outside have this profile on the head casing, and the head casing extends about 1 inch past the side casing, and the side casing is 4 3/4 inches, so we're matching that. It has a 1.5 or 1.75 sill with quarter round trim at the bottom, and then these show all the typical window details again with the sill, the interior trim, the head casing. An interesting issue we get into when we have the casing, we want the casing to sit on top of the siding, but you don't really want that because water can get in there. So what I do is we have the 3/4 inch sorry, this probably should have printed a little larger, but you can kind of see, so we have 3/4 inch blocking, and then we have the 3/4 inch head casing, and then we have the flashing that comes down here and covers that, and that's all sloped to drain. And then here's another way, if you did it with full 1.5" material, you could use KDAT, kiln dried pressure treated wood, and you could do that full thickness, so either one of those work. On the material palette, as I mentioned, the roof is dimensional asphalt shingles. That's what the existing accessory structure and the primary structure have, so we're just gonna use that same roof. The exterior doors, I mentioned that we're gonna be doing these type of doors, this type of casing and trim. Again, note the head detail there. This sort of gooseneck light over the garage doors. And then for the door on the primary structure, instead of it being painted, it'll be a stained door with, again, with dark bronze hardware. I don't know if that's a rated door that we can reuse, but we certainly will if we can, but it'll be that same type of door. Since it does face the backyard, it's not really within the public realm, but we want to have the details accurate as possible. This shows a little closer detail of the light. This shows how the garage doors work with the panel type garage doors, which I didn't point those out in elevation, but this is basically the kind of garage doors we're using, and then you see how the lights are arranged, so they create a parabolic light pattern on the doors. And then for the site, you can see they replaced this wood fence, which matches existing, so it hasn't aged yet, but that's what we're gonna do. And then this has a horizontal acting gate, so they're just gonna keep all that. So, and then that's the, and then the last thing is the window, windows. These are, this is the existing house, original part of the house, which has new wood windows, and then this is the addition in the wood windows there, so you really can't tell the difference. The kind of windows that we're proposing are gel wood windows. This board has approved those in the past. It's a Tampa Heights project, but it is a historic project where this was the new window, and this was the existing window. So you can see the proportions of the style and rails all work very well with the existing. That concludes my presentation, but I'd like to close by just going back to the location of the accessory structure. As I mentioned before, we're 7 feet here because that's what's in the SHRS zoning code. It says for buildings for vehicular storage are required to be 7 feet from the property line. In the past, we've been able to get a design exception, which is what I did on this property immediately to the south. This is the design exception we got, and this was the ARC approval. Both were approved without condition, and as you can see, we're at 3 foot setback. You know, we feel like this should be 3 feet, but we're being forced to have it at 7 feet. So I don't know if it's appropriate that this board, I know Dennis has mentioned that it needs to rise to the level of a variance because the board needs to review it. But it just seems to me that if the historic pattern is that it's 3 feet, we have the board approve it conditional on getting a design exception. If the design exception for some reason is not approved, then it comes back to the board under full variance. But as everyone on the board knows, a variance is a whole different ballgame than a design exception. So I have the 2 letters of approval for both those cases, and then the site plan. I can enter those into the record or just keep them, but I just wanted to kind of close with that. So I'm done with my presentation. Thank you.
Commissioners, Elaine Lund, Historic Preservation Staff Staff found that this application was consistent with the Seminole Heights Design Guidelines, the Secretary of the Interior Standards and Guidelines, and the City of Tampa Code of Ordinances, with a few conditions which the applicant has met. With that, I'm available if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine. As there is no public here, we can proceed to commissioner questions. I'll start on my right with,
Hi, good evening. I appreciate the very thorough presentation. I just have a couple of questions about the accessory structure. Can you just elaborate why it can't be accessed from the alley? The parking, the parking.
Yes, so when your vehicular entrance faces the alley, you are required to have a 10-foot setback. If it's, actually it's more if it's a single-car garage. If it's a two-car garage, it can be as little as 10 feet. So by doing that, it wouldn't fit because of where this building is right now. But also, there's about 4 or 5 projects that I know of. 4 of them are my projects where we did the side entry. It is a historic pattern. It's actually very typical on the corner properties because they would rather access it from the side street than from the alley, obviously. So.
Understood. I asked more about, you mentioned how this commission typically asks about things like where are the air conditioners. The things I typically ask about have to do with stormwater and trees. So
Of course.
I'll
Yeah.
ask them relative
Okay,
to
of
this
course.
placement. Since you're putting the accessory structure now on, again, I want to just make sure I'm clear on what I'm seeing. You're not using the existing impermeable surface. You're creating new impermeable surface, right? You're going to use the prior site as the drive way into.
The footprint of this building is slightly larger, and that is one of the things that we talked about and discussed during the HBDRC meeting, and we do understand that we are required to keep less than 50% of it
Can you
pervious.
just-
More than 50% pervious, sorry.
Yes, correct. So just for the record, can you comment on that, just so we can see that, where that is on your plans, where you've
Okay.
ended up?
Well, okay, so this is probably the best way to show it. This is the existing concrete drive,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes all the way to the building, so we have the building here. So this part is currently impervious. It will become pervious. This part right here is not pervious, but it will become, yes, it will become impervious. So those are the only things that are changing. And
Where do your calcs end up? Your calculations for your?
I didn't do it. I've never been required to have calculations for ARC hearing for the pervious impervious, but here and here, that's a relatively
Yeah,
minor change.
it's de minimis for this, for sure. There's just, there's a proliferation of it. So I just, you'll ultimately need them for your site
Oh,
plan.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so I just want to draw attention to that. It's
Okay.
just obviously a important concern when taking pervious sites
course.
and making them impervious. The other end, it doesn't appear you're going to be losing any trees.
No,
Is
in
the
fact, the
placement of
only
the-
issue that we had with trees was there's an existing tree right
Mhm.
here. But because the foundation is on piers, we've always been able to work the piers around the roots in coordination with a certified arborist and also the city of Tampa, somebody in the natural resources department.
Great.
One thing, just circling back to the garage, we have the absolute minimum footprint for a garage. 20 feet wide is, you can't do it less than that. And even at that, it is 22 feet this way, but it is 20 feet this way. So it's as small as we can possibly make it to contain 2 cars.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your thorough presentation. I have no questions at this time.
The only question I have is if you move the building to a 3 foot from the property line? Or would you be seeking to expand the building or just move it closer to the
No,
property
no, no.
line?
The building is pretty close to 950 square feet total under roof. So we would not make it bigger. It would be the exact same size.
Okay. I think that's all I had. Thank you.
I'm sorry, sorry. I have no further questions.
I unfortunately have a list. You showed us pictures of the garage doors that you wanted to use, but the doors you showed us were a French-style hinged door. And I understand that you're trying to mimic that look. Do you have a manufacturer that you want to use for those doors?
And I realize I probably should have had that hearing. No, so the project that I showed you was, that was a Clopay overhead sectional door.
Okay.
And so, it's basically the same door that I showed in my drawing. And that building that I showed was constructed, like 2 or 3 years ago. It was
So, and you
finished.
didn't have a problem with the glass in the doors meeting hurricanes?
No, not when it's small like that.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem you get when you're an 18-foot wide door, we're only a 16-foot wide door,
Okay.
so.
You mentioned the square footage of the accessory structure. I have a question for staff. What is the acceptable square footage for an accessory structure in this zoning?
In the Seminole Heights residential single-family zoning category, it would be 950 square feet for an accessory structure.
And the applicant, you said you were at 940, is that what you said?
We're under 950.
Okay, all right. Moving to the front porch, the porch that you want to remove from the front, is there any damage to that existing porch that you want to do, that you want to take off and put the addition in?
Well, it's not usable right now
Yep.
because it's so small, but also I showed you that portion of the roof intersections,
Mhm.
and that is rotting significantly. It has a flat roof, so they have mentioned that they have some issues with having a low slope roof, and it's just one of those balances of removing a small insignificant feature of the house for something that's more functional. It's on the side.
Are you increasing the footprint of that area when you do the addition? Would it exceed out past where the porch is currently?
No, it depends on which direction.
It's
direction you're
to the
talking.
south.
Yeah, it does not go any further to the south. It's the same distance north-south. We're just expanding it towards the rear, and we're keeping it stepped in on either side.
So in your sitting room, so currently the
Yeah.
front porch you're showing is just between the French doors and that window. According to your site plan you have here, how much larger are you making your sitting room in that area?
Okay, so you can see it, I
Yep.
zoomed in a little bit there.
Yep.
So it goes from that, the dashed line there shows the outline of the addition, and then the addition
Okay.
you can see right here. So even these rooms are still modest size.
Pretty
but
small.
It was it was a compromise on getting more usable space, because it is very awkward for them right now. This deck is not really used, and to come right into the kitchen, they just need to have, they do a lot of entertaining outside. Actually, everybody lives more in their backyard now.
Understood.
They're like rooms back there.
Yeah.
So that's why having a space that functions like that was important to them, but also having like an informal den, home office, some sort of flex space, because there's really no other option for a space like that anywhere else in the house. And we did not want to go up either, because you get into issues with stairs,
Right.
and then also increasing the height or messing with the envelope of the building.
So can you go to your elevation of the addition?
Okay, yeah.
You
Do
said
you
that you
want the side or front?
side.
Okay.
You said that you had cut down the slope of that roof so that it would stay underneath the vent. Is that a flat roof on the top of that roof?
No, it's a hip roof. Here, I'll show you. So in the floor plan, this roof, the hip roof
Okay.
comes and dies in.
Got it. Okay.
And it's right there, so that's why, right here, you see a flat portion.
Okay.
Right there.
That makes sense. It's early in the year. I'm having a hard time struggling just a little bit, so. Your stand handrail detail noted that the height of the handrails at 34 inches
No, that's the handrail going
up the stairs?
but the guardrail is 36.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure we weren't at 36 on the guardrail, so.
yeah, okay.
One last thing, then where's your water heater going to be located at for this unit?
Oh, so since we only have one bathroom in the upstairs, and then we have the pool bath, we're just gonna use an electric Instahot.
Okay.
A 60 amp circuit, those things are great. They
Yep.
can do like up to 3 fixtures, no problem.
Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you.
And I have a question, a quick question.
Okay.
Okay, in Seminole Heights, in the historic district, there's a pattern for accessory buildings and primary structures, right? And are they typically, does the accessory structure have the same level of detailing as the primary structure, or is there usually a difference there?
It actually varies quite a bit. One of the things we did was, obviously not use the divided lights, but it's important, I think, to have, like the exposed rafter tails, having the smooth, hardy siding, similar exposure to the existing. It is a balance between differentiating new from existing, but not doing that so much that they're not compatible with each other. So, to me, it would look very odd if you wanted to change the exposure of the siding, for example. I think that would look odd. If you, on this particular house that has corner boards, if you wanted to not do corner boards, I think that would look odd. So I just felt, we matched the trim and details of the addition that was done to the house. Some things that I mentioned before, like the way they do that ladder framing, up the rake, the gable end rake, is not appropriate. That's the way everybody builds it now, but I don't think that's appropriate on a historic building or any building in a historic district. So that's why we're not doing that. It does sit lower than the existing house, so I don't really know how to differentiate it anymore, than what we've done. So.
Okay, and Elaine, what was the year on the Sanborn map that showed the screen porch on the side?
Sure.
Like in the 20s sometime?
It would be, those maps that we have were updated from 1925 through 1929, so it could have been as early as when the building was first constructed, which I believe was, what date did we have, circa 1926, or it could have been added before 1939 at any, it would have been during the period of the significance for the historic district.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
I think everything in the neighborhood was built in the mid-20s for the most part. Sorry.
Okay, we have any further questions for the applicant? Okay, then we'll close the public hearing. Oh, that's right, I'm sorry, thank you very much. So you have 5 minutes for rebuttal?
I would just like to maybe address the two maybe outstanding points I sensed that the board had. Was one, the detail of the accessory structure. I think, one of the Secretary of Interior Standards is talking about the quality of details and things like that. So I think it's important to have nice details on the building, but they don't necessarily have to be, we don't want to copy necessarily, but at the same time, we don't want to be too drastically different. So I think it's appropriately detailed for this condition. And then also the screen porch, it is a very non-significant structure. It obviously doesn't match the styling in the house. It was probably something that was added on, after they started constructing the house, which is pretty common. It doesn't fit architecturally with the house. So I think doing an addition like the one we're proposing is more typical of when you do a side addition to a house, with You see a lot in Hyde Park and other areas where, you know, they have like a little sitting room or sunroom or something off to the side of the house, and it sets back a little bit from the front, has a lot of windows, so that's what we're proposing. So that's the extent of my rebuttal. Thank you.
Chair,
All right, thank you.
before you close the public hearing, should we perhaps just ask about this notion of the setback that's been discussed? I don't think it's in front of us for consideration, though the applicant has noted it, so I just want to clarify, I don't think it's for review or consideration, but I didn't want to ignore the fact that it was raised.
Sure. Dana Crosby Collier, City Attorney's Office. No, that's not before you today. The plans that you have before you have the 7-foot setback.
Right, thank you.
All right. So we're ready for Commissioner comment? Thank you, Commissioner. We're ready for Commissioner comment, I believe. All right. I'll start on mine.
Yeah, I think the accessory structure is fine, the way he's designed it. Alan always does a fine job. I do have a little bit of a hesitation of the front, that porch is front facing. It's part of the front facade, which you see from the street. I think it adds to the character of the home. He has made a comment about, you know, it's insignificant, but then we're making it into a room that's still insignificant. It's only 7'8". So I have a little bit of a hesitation about getting rid of that front porch. I just think it adds to the character of the home. That's just my personal opinion.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Sorry, no, please.
No, go ahead.
One thing that I noted down was on the base of the accessory structure, they have stucco there rather than brick. Which, I mean, when they went through the renovation in 2018, they installed brick. Their plan is on the front of the building to do brick. I just was a little bit confused why. And then the same thing with the panels on all of the window openings. I just noticed every window had 3 panels on it, even in the expansion that occurred in 2018 or 2021. I was just curious about kind of why as well. I think it would be great to have the paneled windows. And then the Jurgen gable on the accessory structure as well, in lieu of the sloped, the yes.
Standard gable.
Yes. I think that would be a nice touch, but the comment was that there wasn't enough room. That's not my expertise, but those are my thoughts.
Thank you.
I have no comments right now.
Bringing up a couple things, the fact that the garage is lower because it's a slab on grade minimizes the amount of space to put the brick in. That's probably why the stucco goes there instead of brick, which makes sense to me. The other thing is that when you have the high end of the main house facing the street, when it has more detail and more division in the windows and the 3 over or the 4 over or the 5 over 1, that when you put an addition on it or you put an accessory structure on it, that those are subservient to the main house. So while the previous additions did not go that way window-wise, it still is appropriate at this stage doing another addition or another secondary structure that they be subservient to the main house, so that you simplify the detail that way, and it's a way of distinguishing. So 50 years from now, when none of us are alive anymore, somebody can walk back and go, that's original, that was an addition. We don't know exactly what the time frame was, but you can kind of look at it and tell down for it. And I tell a story about this. You know, I've seen a house that was built in 1750 and had an addition at 1790. And you can go and look at it now, you know, 300 years later, 200 something years later, And you can see that was the original house and this was the addition. And it's still clear that it distinguishes between the two. That said, I'm not sure that I have anything of significance to add to the conversation. I think it's a pretty well done and well thought out. What I like about this particular presenter and the work he gives us is that he tells us why he did things. And it makes it so much easier to make a decision because we know why he did it and why he didn't do this and why he didn't do that. So I appreciate this presenter very much and look forward to hearing his presentation every time he comes in.
My only comment is, similarly, I was a little troubled by losing the front porch, but my understanding of it was that it was not historic to the home, so I was less.
Well,
It was on the Sanborn map that she showed us in the 1920s.
its
But-
location was,
Oh, that's a good point.
but is it that porch?
Yeah, that's.
Because it really doesn't match anything to do with
That
the
was really-
original architecture. And it looks like it was done sometime like in the 50s or something else like that, when it
Yeah,
didn't really have
Yeah, the roof design definitely does not match.
the style, the design style of
Yeah,
that porch was
maintaining the
just
look
wacko.
was not as, I was not as troubled by losing it because of how it appears now.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
But you're right, the location was there. We don't know if that's the original porch, and it's actually, the way it was designed says it wasn't
Right.
part of the original house.
Yeah.
I will say that I think that sometimes the tendency is to smooth out the quirky detail that we find in historic districts.
Yeah,
And here, I think that we are actually losing a quirky detail. And one that we are allowed to bestow historical relevance to, since it's been there since whenever, be it the 50s or the 20s. However, this is not a hill that I want to die on just today. Even though I find even the accessory structure to be much more of a mini-me than I think that is perhaps advisable. I think it, however, my fellow commissioners, I think you have expressed your opinions on this, and so I think I'm in the minority. Now, is someone ready to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. Make a motion to move to grant a certificate of appropriateness for the drawings and documents presented at this public hearing in ARC-26-000063 for the property located at 5708 North Central Avenue. Because based on the finding of fact and proposed projects consisting with the size, scale, as opposed to the Seminole Heights design guidelines of the city of Tampa for the following reasons, for size, scale of massing, and design.
Second.
Let's see. And there are no conditions, so I don't need to ask if he can accept his conditions. All right, so we're ready to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to be a holdout, nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Now I need a motion to receive and file submitted documents. and
I
exhibits.
move to receive and file all submitted documents.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And so this meeting is adjourned.
people there, and they're laid out on the grass.